Right. First call of May. I'm so excited. First and foremost, take a screenshot that you're here, do a little boomerang, do a little video, whatever you got to do. But it's important that we share this community. That's why all of us are here, right? To continue to better ourselves. So I'm going to give you a second. You better take a photo. And after this call, I want you to tag me on your social and share one thing that you learned from tonight. Okay. So that the call doesn't just stay here, it spreads beyond me and all of you, even though I love seeing a lot of you here. All right. Deal? Cool. Okay. I am going to share my screen. Which one? Oh, why does this look different? Okay. Can y'all see my presentation? Thank you, Rach. Okay, tonight we are talking about shutting up your inner mean girl. It is officially Mental Health Month in May, if you did not know. So this is a topic that's near and dear to my heart. It's something that I personally am working on. So I thought that it would be a really great thing to share with y'all because I know we all have that little bee in our head. Also, if you have kids around, you might want to put on headphones. I have the tendency to get a little tough love on these calls, and I might drop some bombs that your kids might not want to hear. I'm giving you fair warning, just telling you. All right, agenda tonight, we're going to go through some announcements, recognition, always. I'm going to talk about what is the storyline playing right now for you, an area that you'd like to improve. We're going to identify that tonight and really set the tone for the month. Then we're going to walk through some tips and tricks to tackle your mindset this month and really goal set for the month. So by the end of this call, you have a clear plan in place on 2 things you're going to work on for the month. And then we're going to report back in June. Holy crap. I can't believe I'm even saying that. How it went and be able to measure that progress. So first and foremost, some announcements I shared in the hub this week. I'm going to start up my Philly local hangouts again, and we'll be doing a get together at the Lavender Farm in Doylestown. It looked like June 15th was the best option. So if you're around Philly or you want to come visit, you are welcome to stay with me. We're going to be doing that in June. I also will be planning a team celebration in August because that is our official 10-year anniversary of Team Glow Diggers. Crazy. I know. So if you want a summer trip and you want to plan that and you have a date in August that you're like, do it then, let me know. I don't have a date set yet, but that is in my mind and I want to do team photos. I want to do all the fun things. So that is in my brain and it will be happening. I know also Rachel's planning some local things in Georgia. She's going to get that on the calendar and we'll keep you in touch with any other stuff going on because I know we're all spread out. And so any opportunity to get together is really special. Secondly, we are on the countdown of less than 50 days till our partners go to San Antonio. We're really excited. We shared a little bit about that last week. So if you didn't catch the recording of the call, you should. You're probably going to have FOMO watching us. And I just want you to know that you can be there too. You can work towards it next year. And our summit is open to anybody on the team. So anyone can go. It's not like a earned trip or anything. It's our leadership conference every year. And Danielle Thurman, Katie, Megan, Rachel, Allie are all going as well as myself. So we'll be sharing lots of new announcements at the end of June when we go and all the fun things. Other announcements, Collagen is actually 20% off this week. So great opportunity if you're looking for something new to try or you just want to mix it up and you have a hard time with your hair, nails, skin, all of that stuff. Great opportunity to get it on sale. We're also doing the Feel Good Summer Sale. So if your body is renewing, make sure you talk to your partner because they can give you an extra $20 off than what you're seeing on the website. Also on Friday, a new program on Body dropped from Shaun T called Shaun 20. So it's one of those, I believe it's a week-long program. Check it out. It's only 20-minute workouts, which is awesome if you're in a pinch. You have more options. Also, Dig Deeper will be launching tomorrow on Body as well as a new Mind and Body block. So if you watched us rock the test group at the beginning of this year, you will now have access to that program. And then lastly, there's a new masterclass under the mindset tab from Growth Day. Again, I think we all forget about that, and I'm going to talk a lot about that tonight, obviously. But just a little reminder, every month there's a new kind of theme that Brendan Bouchard launches on Your Body app, as well as every Monday there's a new growth day focused theme that's a short video, and it's completely free. You guys already have it on Body. So really encourage you tomorrow to check it out, plug something positive in your ears when you're doing laundry, dinner, getting ready, any of the time in your day that you can't do anything else. All right. Any other announcements anyone wants to share? Okay. Recognition. Quickly wanted to go through and give a round of applause for all of our April leaders. Guys, together we logged over 1,000 workouts in April. Incredible. And over 250 superfood Shakeologies in our BOD group. So I'm going to challenge you to log more superfoods this month. Nutrition is like the easiest thing with Shakeology. There is no excuse. Get in and log it. Be more persistent with that this month. Let's up that number. You guys are crushing it on your workouts. I know a lot of those are also meditation, stretches, other things that we're doing. So super duper proud of you. Also wanted to shout out, this is not like very laid out well because I was just doing this like right before this call, but these are all of the active partners and preferred customers on our team. So you guys are all staying consistent with your supplements. You're helping other people. You are staying committed to your journey. If you guys are paying full price for stuff, please don't. Please reach out to your partner and let us get you a discount because that's just silly. And if you don't see your name on here, get your booty on here. Like, it's proof every time I do this recognition who is consistent with their shit, right? Excuse my French. It's important you get your Shakeology in there. It's important that you have your Energize. These things are all just tools in our toolbox to stay committed to our health journey. Wanted to open the floor up. Any other recognition anyone wants to share? Anything big or small? There's nothing off the table.
I'll go.
Yes.
I'm so proud of all my girls that I had one-on-ones with this weekend and this past week. We set ourselves up for success for the month. And if you are someone who is a challenger, you can still set up a one-on-one with your partner and like just talk out stuff. And I think that was really helpful for all my girls that did that this weekend. It was good because some of them I hadn't even talked to in person, like virtually like this. So it was really good to really get to know each other a little bit more. So don't be scared to reach out and just say, hey, can we chat? Yeah, let's do it. So I'm proud of y'all for making the time for us and this community.
Yes. I loved getting to know girls like that haven't even enrolled personally with me. It's been really, I love mentorship calls. They bring me joy and fire me up. So happy to talk with anyone at any time, even if you're just like, I feel stuck. What do I do? Get on the phone with someone, please. Any other recognition? You can also put it in the chat if that is easier. I need one more recognition before I move on. So you better say something. Better start typing. Better start talking. Someone's got to do it. I know there's something to celebrate.
I'll go.
Thanks, Alice.
No problem. Okay, now this is going back to Rachel's meeting about your why. And I realized that my why was not deep enough. And I realized it after the call, and my husband asked me a question and it brought me to tears. I don't even remember what specifically the question was, but I revamped my why and I figured I'd share it with all you ladies now. If I
Yeah.
cry, I apologize. It is pretty emotional for myself, so I hope I can get through it at least. Okay, so my why for number one is my 12 to 18-year-old self who lacked, and I'm reading what I texted Katie just so I can get it through. It's for my 12 to 18-year-old self who lacks self-confidence, self-esteem, self-love, and always felt like she was fat, not good enough, not smart enough. It's time to heal her. My number two is for my two kids to be around for them and to show them that loving yourself is much needed and extremely important. And number 3 is my husband, because he's back on his health journey, going to the gym 4 to 5 days a week, even when he comes home after a 12-hour day and he's like, I don't really want to go. And I'm like, no, babe, you should go because you always feel better afterwards. So just for us to be healthy and live an amazing life with him and our little family.
Love that. Thank you for sharing, Alice. That was
Not a
amazing.
problem. Thank you, guys.
I knew I had a good one lingering. I just had to pull it out of you. So powerful. And now when you have those days where you're like, I really don't want to do this, or this really sucks, or I just don't feel like it, you're going to think about those deep 3 things. I think all of us could probably resonate. And I invite you guys, as we go through this call tonight, blow up the chat. I always love seeing and knowing that you're actually paying attention. I think it's very easy. I know I'm a squirrel brain, so I will not look at the chat until I get to the end, but I love knowing that you're actually here, because I have a hard time being here. It's something I have to work on regularly. So I would encourage you, if there's something that is shared, like what Alice just said, and you can resonate with it, encourage her in the chat, share what works for you. I love seeing it. All right. Beautiful. I can't wait to hear next week's recognition and maybe another why, because that was cool. That actually leads perfectly into the start of our call. So if you have a notebook, you might want to get it out right now. You guys know I tend to make you do that. And the reason is there's actually a cognitive connection between thinking something in your brain and actually writing it out. And I would bet most of us maybe don't do that as often as we should, or maybe we were very good at writing to-do lists. I know I was talking to Rebecca this weekend, so I'm thinking of her. We're very good at making to-do lists of all the things we need to do, but really reflecting and writing down the things you're thinking is like a different level of connecting to yourself. So I invite you to get a notebook if you don't already have one and really be here. So I want you to just rewrite whatever comes to mind when I ask you these questions. Right now, the storyline in your brain that you have going on, what are you frustrated with? What are you worried about? What are you ruminating over and over and over again? And you keep coming back, or when you call your mom, or you call your friend, or you call your husband, and you just keep bitching about that one thing that just won't get out of your brain. What are you stressing over? What's disappointing you right now, whether it's in yourself or someone close to you? What's kind of just like bringing your mood down and holding you in this space where you don't want to be? What are you avoiding doing? It's a good one. Or making excuses for. So hopefully you wrote down at least 3 to 5 things of answers to those questions, okay? I want you to pick, now this kind of relates to Rachel's call, and so it's kind of a perfect segue. I want you to pick 2 things from May from this list, or maybe there's something I missed, but I'm pretty sure I got a lot of the categories that we normally think about. 2 things from this list for May that you would like to improve. Now, as women, we want, like, I literally said this to my girl the other day. I'm like, when is there going to be a time when it feels like all the things are moving forward in a great direction? Like, when's that going to happen? Does that happen? Because I thought when you get to an adult that happened. So quick funny story. I've been working on my architecture licensing exams for the past 10 years. Now, in that time frame, there's been changes of what the test is. There's been changes in the requirements. There's been a transition period where you get credit for one type of test and then you can move to another. But funny enough, the 2 tests I took in the first section didn't count for the transition or the next section. So I basically lost all of the exams I took the first, let's say, 5 years of my career, and had to restart at 0, which I did. It started in 2020 when I lost my job or went on furlough. I was like, okay, now's the time. I'm going to do the thing, right? Like, how have you related to that before with the goal? I'm ready. I'm not making bullshit excuses anymore. Like I have time off work and I'm still getting paid. This is perfect. When is this ever going to happen? I'm 30 years old and like that's never going to happen again in my career. So I started taking my exams. I started passing them. I got to the third one. There's 6 total now. So I'd taken 2 in the old one. I lost the credit for all of them. Okay. Couldn't pass the third. Then I transitioned to this new 5.0. I got to the third one and I just couldn't pass it. Couldn't pass it. You can only take it 3 times in a year or you have to wait another year. And it was pissing me off. After the second time, I was like, I got to change something. Like something has to change here. And if you've been on this team for a long time, you know like how this goal, I don't really need it for my career per se. Like I can still practice and exactly what I'm doing right now, but it's a personal thing. It's always been the last and final step of what I said I was going to do. My master's was the first, well, my undergrad was the first step. My master's was the second step. And this was always the third step that I always promised myself I was going to do. And I had a choice after that second fail. I was like, fuck, this sucks. Like I have time. I have the money to do it. Why isn't this working? And the inner mean girl in me went back to 18-year-old Danielle, relating to what Alice said. When I applied to over 20 architecture schools all up and down the East Coast, because from the age of probably 14 or 15, I always knew I wanted to be an architect. It was like, I was the only, there's architecture classes in my high school, and I was the only girl at the end of the 3 years. That's how much I knew I wanted to do this. Like, I got the architecture award in high school, not to toot my own horn, but like, I was dedicated to this thing. I was ready for this thing. I knew what I wanted to do, had all my ducks in a row. Do you know how many schools I got into for undergrad for architecture? I guess I should preface this. I applied to a lot of schools far away from Philadelphia because I wanted to be far away from my family and I wanted to do my own thing. And I wanted to be in warm weather at a football school. I got rejected from 18 of them. And the 2 that I did get accepted to were in Philadelphia. So let's just say come December when everyone else was saying, oh, I got accepted early, acceptance, that's great. I went right back to the drawing board because I was like, fuck this. I'm not doing that. I'm not staying here. This is not part of my plan. This is not over. Between me and this thing, this is not over. But the inner mean girl on me kept saying, well, you kept getting the small letters in the mail. You're going to keep getting the small letters in the mail. If 18 schools don't want you, then it's just not meant to be. Like, you're just not going to get it. So what happened is my mom found out that Virginia Tech, you can take architecture, or you can go in and transfer into the architecture school. So I ended up going there last and looked there and fell in love with it, of course. If you've ever been to Blacksburg, I love my Hokies. I went to school that Monday, and that Monday happened to be April 16th, when the shootings were. And I was like, I'm going to Tech. This is awesome. I have a plan in place. I got accepted. Like, let's do this. And then this other thing happened. And it was like, but I never once questioned that I was going there. It just was like a little bit, it was very scary, right? That was kind of like one of the first times in our generation, I'd say, that something big happened. So I go to Tech, I start doing the classes I need to do, and I'm like, cool, I'm going to transfer into the architecture school. I went and met with them. I interviewed with them. I did my portfolio for them. And guess what? The next 2 years, I got rejected from the architecture school. So I was like, well, shit, this is just like my thing. Rejection after rejection after rejection. And I'm just going to keep getting rejected. But something in me, again, like when you know you want something in life and you know it's right for you and you know there's a reason that that path has been put in front of you, you don't just give up, right? So what I ended up doing is I needed prerequisites to go to grad school. And I transferred to the University of Maryland for a semester, did those classes, hated the school, and transferred back to Tech, which was not part of my plan. But this is how life works. It's not straightforward if you haven't figured that out. There is always going to be obstacles. There's going to be something that comes up this month that's going to sucker punch you. There's might be something tomorrow that happens, but how you learn to react and have that inner conversation when something comes up. I'm grateful for all those rejections because I just took my 6th test, which was supposed to be my final test last week. And guess what? I failed it for the 2nd time, just like I did that 3rd test. But I know now how to deal with rejection. And I'm going to walk you through some things of when you're in that shitty moment, how do you move through it? How do you get to the other side? How do you have the conversation in your head to just say like, well, these are the facts and this is what I'm going to do about it. And this is when I'm going to start doing those things about it. Rather than I suck, I'm a failure, this is never going to work for me. I might as well just quit. Because we all have the choice to do that on our health journey every single day, right? The scale doesn't move, the outfit doesn't fit perfect that you wanted to. You couldn't do that move that Autumn can do like miraculously, and you're like, what the fuck is she doing? Like, why can't I do this? We all know what I'm talking about. That's not why we're here, right? And so training your brain is such an important piece of your journey. Whether you are a challenger, a partner running the business, you're going to hear rejection all the damn time because people got a lot of excuses, guys. And that's okay because rejection is part of life. A rejection is not your reject. A rejection is a redirection. A failure is not, I'm a failure. It's this thing happened and we're going to pivot and adjust accordingly. So, does everyone have their 2 things they want to work on for May? I know that was like a total side story. Okay. So, how do you get over your inner mean girl? So, I talked you through kind of what happened to me this last week, which is like not even aligned to this topic when I chose it, but I guess it's what the universe needed me to speak on. So, what happened is when I failed my test, I gave a time limit to myself to be pissed at something. This is like a key factor for life. If you have something happen in your relationship and you sit there and you're pissed off for days, guess what happens? Resentment happens, anger builds up, you start doing things, we all know it. You start doing things just like poke the bear back to get them back. That is not productive, nor is it for something at work with that one person that just keeps on doing that thing. You have to set an amount of time that you're going to be allowed to ruminate and allowed to be mad and pissed and feel all the feelings because that's part of being a human. But I promised myself that I was going to give myself a day and I was going to be pissed and it was going to be okay and I was going to feel down. And I hate being that person because that is not me. You guys know me. Like, I like to stay in the optimistic mindset. But you throwing a temper tantrum every day doesn't like, you have to treat yourself like a toddler. Okay, we're only going to be pissed for this amount of time, and then we're going to move on and focus on something else. So for me, having a trusted person to go to, which is usually my grandmother or a friend, we talked for an hour and she always has the best advice. And she's like, I know you're going to be really hard on yourself right now. I know you're going to start thinking this about yourself. Like, having that person you can go to and just really let it all out, and maybe outside of your spouse, I would even say sometimes, right? But having that time limit to be pissed is number 1. Number 2, I dove really hard into meditations, growth day, extra stretching and walking over the last couple of days. Perfect time that the step challenge just had to be right now, right? But those are things that like I have to kind of disconnect myself from what my normal thing is and just get outside. Get outside, be with nature, be around other people, remind myself that the world still revolves. This one thing that happened sucks, but it's going to be okay. And tomorrow's going to be a different day. So, if you're having a hard time finding quiet time, since I know a lot of you have kids, here's a few tips. Lock yourself in the bathroom. Your husband, I'm sure, goes to the bathroom for a lot longer than you do. So maybe you should start doing that. Sitting in the car and like, if you're dropping your kid off somewhere after they're dropped off, stop in the park on the way home and take 5 minutes and do the meditation yourself so that there's zero distractions for you. A private room at work, or just going outside again for your walk. Like that's so key. I personally like to do meditations if I'm working from home at lunchtime at home, or when I'm coming home to kind of decompress, which I know might be a little challenging for you guys that have kids, but those are the times that I feel most like drained or I need a break. And so I try to plug them in there. The last thing is you have to trigger to a transition zone, right? So there needs to be something that transitions you into a higher feeling. So there's actually an emotional scale of different feelings. And when you are feeling like when you're going through something hard, it's from Gabrielle Bernstein's book. I'm pretty sure I've learned this, but she talks about moving up the emotional scale. And actually, when you go from like anger to frustration to annoyed to bored, like when you're moving up to bored, you're actually elevating your emotional scale, because you're not going to go from angry to happiness in one pace. That's not how it works. You have to slowly transition yourself up the emotional scale. So movement obviously is always one thing that I suggest. Doing a fun activity with your kids that you guys enjoy, like just getting out and getting away from the computer, getting away from the email, whatever is the thing that pissed you off. Do an activity, do something that brings you joy. Maybe it's taking a new class, going to a pottery class, or going to a new fitness class, getting a drink with a friend. I mean, I try to say not do that, but I mean, that is important at times. I'm thinking of activities that are just like getting you out of your head, focusing on something that you're doing or creating, or maybe it's cleaning your house, maybe it's organizing a closet. I actually did that this weekend. That was helpful. Things like that that just pull you out of your funk and give you a different experience, or even going somewhere new that you haven't, maybe, doing a little weekend trip, picking flowers, getting outside, all that good stuff. So those are some things that helped me, especially this week. And then these three things are really, to me, the next level of understanding how to control your inner mean girl. So a lot of these tools, guys, I've learned being a partner. I learned a long time ago that if you want different in your life, if you want to think differently, if you want to spend differently, if you want to act differently, if you just want to elevate yourself into not like changing who you are, but like being a more optimistic person or being more positive with your thoughts, you have to put yourself in the room with other people that have that. And so for me, literally stepping into a room full of partners and listening to their stories, I was like, wow, like my thoughts are not that great, but I want what she has. Like, I want more of that in my brain. So I share that because there's a lot of you that are having conversations behind the scenes of, I don't know if I could be a partner. I don't know if I could do that. That's a lot. And my question to you is, if you want to become a better person, the best way to do that is to learn about it, to study some things that could be helpful, and then to teach someone else. So me doing this call right now is helping me control my inner mean girl and being more intentional with how I approach the next failure. So if something happens that is not aligned to your plan, I like to sit down and just like think about it, which happens usually after the fact. Like, how did I act in that experience or feel, or like, what do I usually tend to do when that thing happens in my life that feels not so great, or that I'm not proud of, or that I didn't like how it went according to my plan? For me, when confrontation comes up, I usually do this because it's like my trauma from my childhood, and my mom does it too. Like, we just kind of run away from confrontation, but that doesn't help with building a relationship and staying connected with friends and things that bring joy to my life. I don't want to be that person. So I have to constantly flex the muscle of understanding, what do I do? And then studying, how do I want to be better in that situation in the future? Like, family situations, and I promise I'm wrapping this up. There's one more slide after this. So thank you for staying with me. Family situations are really great ways to practice these things, and it's hard, okay? But like even Alice sharing that she shared with her husband what the why was, that's taking a next level from writing your why down and keeping it to yourself and sharing it with someone else, right? She's taking that and teaching someone else. This is the stuff going on in my brain, and this is why it's important to me. So this is how I want you to operate, or I want to encourage you, you're teaching. So she's elevating the things that she's learning about herself. So studying what you do and studying someone that has what you want is so key. That is why we talk about Growth Day all the time. And if you don't know what Growth Day is, it's our mindset app that is part of the Body platform. So there's kind of little tastes and tidbits of that under the mindset tab. But Growth Day is specifically its own app as well. And it's a pivotal point in everything I'm sharing with you tonight. Because for the past 6 months, I have committed to Growth Day. I've listened to a Daily Fire, which is a 5 to 20 minute focused intention every day that gives me a way to think about my day, a way to approach my day, a way to be intentional about my day. And all of the top partners on our team, they're listening to that every day. So again, success leaves clues, right? If you want to be more like XYZ, what are they doing to feel better, right? We share our supplements because they help us feel better. We share our workouts because they're bomb and they excite us. We share the Zoom gym because that's what's helped me stay accountable. So studying someone on this team that has what you want is really key. What are they eating? What are they reading? Don't be afraid to ask, hey guys, what books are you reading? What's been helpful for you right now? What kind of example do you want to set for your kids? Who can you plug into to use as a mentor or a resource? And all of us are open books on this team and happy to share anything that we do, as you guys know. And then lastly, what I said, like teaching, getting on this call right now and it helps me move through my failure because I now in the past, okay, this happened on Thursday. I already ordered a new book. So I have a plan in place for my next phase of studying. I already wrote out how I'm going to approach the next test, what time I'm going to schedule it at, how I'm going to break it up and format it because I didn't let myself sit in the stuck for more than a day. And so my brain had more room to think about solutions rather than being stuck. So all that to say, goal setting, take things off your plate that are a distraction. I know sometimes it's easy to pop into our community and think, oh, I need to do that thing and I need to do this thing and I need to do. We share things that work. But again, you don't need to go from 0 to 100. So if, for example, like Megan and Melanie were sharing in our pod this week, that they're having some pain in their, I don't know, their knee or something like that. And I asked them if they were doing the controlled stretches for Control Freak. Again, that's just a small 5-minute twist on their day. They can pivot, right? I'm not asking you to go do another hour-long session to recover, but what's one thing you can take this week and shift and adapt? But also what's one thing that you can take off your plate? That you can maybe ask someone for help, like, hey, your spouse, I need help with this. Can you do this for me? Right? I think as women, we want to do it all. We want to be the superheroes, but asking for help is such a key component to not overloading yourself. So if the laundry doesn't get folded, so what? Maybe you can start teaching your kid to help you do laundry and make it a fun activity, right? Or let's do this together. Or can you help me do this? Like those sorts of things, don't discredit yourself. You guys have cultivated other little helpers around you, right? And I know some of you, there might be babies, they obviously can't help you, but what can you do to reach out to someone in your circle to say, hey, can you help me with this week, rather than just taking it on and doing it? Getting a clear routine around your 2 goals. So if you picked nutrition, it drives me nuts when you guys say in the pod, I want to get better at nutrition. Okay, cool. better for me might be totally better for you. Better for you might be eating one more vegetable a week. Better for me might be stop drinking alcohol a week, right? Like it's totally different. So I want you to think about your two goals or your two focuses for May, and what's one thing you're going to set as a benchmark this week that you're going to take action on, okay? And you either have to share it in the chat here right now or right off after you get off this call in our pod. What's the one thing you're going to take action to towards one of your focuses for May? And it has to be specific. So if it's relationally, make it accountable too. There is a method to the madness with our trackers, isn't there? How many of you have done a tracker this month? Pretty much every single person on this call, I've seen a tracker tagged in my name on it. There's a reason for that. Why? It's clear. It's publicly accountable. And it's something that you're a part of bigger than yourself. That's how goals happen. That's how consistency happens. So maybe if your relationship is a priority this month, every time you have a date night once a week, you have to take a photo and share the happiness of that. Silly, but same thing with me studying. I don't want to study all the time, but guess what? I sure as hell put it on my Instagram stories when I do, because it holds me accountable to doing it. Nutrition. Maybe you're sharing the recipe that you're doing. Maybe you're sharing the meal prep that you're doing. These things are not braggy. They're accountable and they show people how you're doing what you're doing. And most importantly, helps you follow the goal that you want to make important for the month. So all this to say, life is hard. And the hard does not discriminate against any of us, right? Like every single person on this call, I guarantee, has gone through a hard some point this year already. And there's going to be a hard that comes around the way. But we have tools in our toolbox to be more prepared to move through those hards with a better version of ourselves. And that's my goal of this call. So I'm really looking forward to hearing what your two things are for May and what's one action you're going to take this week to really focus on that, because you have to get out all the distractions and just say, this is what's important to me. This is why it's important. And I'm not going to put my head on the pillow tonight until I have a plan in place to get there. Because goals and things that are important and intentional in our lives don't happen just because we say them on a call on Sunday night, right? So I'm really looking forward to hearing these. I hope this was helpful for you guys. I hope that you know and continue to feel a space in this community that you're not alone, and that whatever you're going through, there's always a way on the other side. And it's so much easier when you lean in here. So thank you, all of you, for being who you are and allowing me to move through a hard thing this week. And I'm going to schedule my retake in the next week, and I'm going to have a plan in place. And I'm sure as hell going to share accountable on my study routine and make it happen so we can celebrate in August, not only 10 years of Team Glow Diggers, but finally finishing my damn license. So wouldn't be able to do it without you. I love you guys. Next week, Rachel is going to be getting on and talking about some exciting social media things. So invite you all to be there, and also going to share a little bit more deeper about her why and the vision that she has moving forward. So thank you for being on this call. Thank you for sticking me for 9 extra minutes. Go sign off. And after you share your one action for the week and your focus for May. I love you guys, and I'll see you on Zoom in the morning.